First contact's dire warning. Dr. Sarah Chen hadn't slept in 36 hours. The Quantum Signals Lab at Mauna Kea Deep Space Listening Post hummed with nervous energy as she stared at her holographic display, running the analysis for the 12th time. The signal pattern remained unchanged, defying everything she thought she knew about quantum communications. "It's impossible," she muttered, taking another sip of cold coffee. These patterns shouldn't be stable across interstellar distances. Yet there it was, a perfectly coherent quantum signal, simultaneously appearing at every listening post across the solar system. The message itself was even more disturbing than its method of delivery. Written in mathematical constants that transcended language barriers, it read, "To the warriors of soul, you are the last of the guardian species. The swarm approaches. Help us." Colonel David Martinez stood behind her, his weathered face reflected in the dark glass of the observatory window. "You're certain about the translation?" "The math is universal," Sarah replied, pulling up another hologram showing the signal's complex patterns. "What's more interesting is how they knew to contact us specifically. They called us warriors of soul. They know what we are." The colonel's expression remained neutral, but Sarah had worked with him long enough to recognize the subtle tension in his shoulders. "And what exactly are we, Doctor?" According to the additional data packets, Sarah brought up another display, this one showing a classification system of planetary civilizations. "We're what they call a guardian species, one of the few civilizations that retained its martial capabilities after achieving interstellar travel." The information painted a stark picture of the galaxy. Most advanced species had evolved past conflict, their bodies and societies becoming more specialized for peace and intellectual pursuit. But a few races, like humanity, had emerged from harsh worlds that demanded constant vigilance and the ability to fight. "This swarm they mentioned," Martine said, scrolling through the data. "What do we know about them?" Sarah's hands moved quickly over the holographic controls, bringing up the transmitted images. They showed massive geometric structures moving between the stars, leaving dead worlds in their wake. "They're not alive in any way we understand. The signal describes them as self-replicating machines that consume entire planets for resources. The peaceful species of the galaxy have no defense against them." "But we might." Martinez finished the thought. He reached for his secure communicator. "I need to contact the Joint Chiefs. How long until the swarm reaches the nearest inhabited system?" "Based on their current trajectory." Sarah checked the calculations. 3 months. "But sir, there's something else you should see." She pulled up another section of the transmission, showing technical specifications of the swarm's defenses. "They've evolved perfect countermeasures against energy weapons and advanced technology. But they've never encountered kinetic weapons." Martinez nodded, a grim smile forming. "They've never needed to defend against good old-fashioned projectiles and explosives." The next 48 hours passed in a blur of activity. The world's governments convened an emergency session while military commands across the globe began assessing their readiness. Sarah found herself presenting her findings to a room full of the most powerful people on Earth, trying to explain concepts that challenged their understanding of physics and their place in the universe. "Let me be clear," she said, standing before the United Earth Council. "We are not the most technologically advanced species out there. Far from it. But we are among the last civilizations that remember how to fight. The others learned to transmit their consciousness into machines, evolved into beings of pure energy, or merged with their technology. They forgot the fundamental skills of warfare that humanity never had the luxury to abandon." The council chambers erupted in debate. Some argued for isolation, for focusing on Earth's defense. Others saw an opportunity to establish humanity's place among the stars. But as more data poured in, showing system after system falling to the swarm, the decision became clear. In the end, it was the Chinese premier who voiced what many were thinking. Throughout our history, humanity has faced extinction-level threats. Each time, we survived not by running or hiding, but by standing and fighting. These peaceful species need warriors to defend them. They need us. The vote was unanimous. Earth would answer the call. Within days, military bases around the world began reactivating weapons systems that had been mothballed since the last war. Ships that had been preserved in underground bunkers and orbital hangars were brought back online. But humanity's greatest advantage wasn't in its weapons, it was in its people. Sarah watched from her lab as the first ships broke atmosphere, their hulls gleaming in the sunlight. They carried not just weapons, but the accumulated combat knowledge of thousands of years of human conflict. Every battle strategy, every hard-learned lesson of warfare was about to become the galaxy's most valuable resource. The warriors of Sol were awakening, and the swarm was about to learn why humanity's homeworld had forged them into guardians of life itself. The awakening of steel giants. The Atacama Desert facility hadn't seen sunlight in 15 years. As the massive doors ground open, sending cascades of sand sliding into the abyss below, Captain Elena Torres felt a shiver run down her spine. The ESS Prometheus waited in the darkness, Earth's first true warship built with reverse-engineered alien technology. Beautiful, isn't she? Chief Engineer Maya Patel stood beside Elena, her dark eyes reflecting the first rays of sunlight hitting the ship's quantum alloy hull. We never thought we'd actually need to wake her up. The Prometheus was different from the other reactivated vessels. While most of Earth's fleet consisted of conventional warships retrofitted with salvaged alien tech, the Prometheus had been built from the ground up as a hybrid of human and extraterrestrial engineering. Its main gun was still a railgun, but one powered by a zero-point energy core. Its armor was enhanced with quantum phase technology, while its targeting systems combined human combat eye with alien sensor arrays. Status report, Elena asked, walking through the bustling hangar where hundreds of technicians prepared the ship for launch. Maya consulted her tablet. Main systems are online. We've integrated the new quantum communications array that Dr. Chen sent over. But Captain, she hesitated. We're getting some unusual readings from the alien tech. It's like it's responding to the distress signal, becoming more active. Before Elena could respond, her comm unit chimed. Captain Torres, report to command immediately. First contact scenario in progress. The command center was chaos when Elena arrived. Holographic displays showed a small fleet of ships dropping out of quantum space just beyond lunar orbit. They weren't the geometric shapes of the swarm, but organic-looking vessels that seemed to pulse with internal light. Refugees, General Santos explained as Elena entered. First wave from the systems already hit by the swarm. Dr. Chen is attempting communication. Sarah Chen's voice came through the speakers, her quantum translation algorithms working in real time. This is Earth control to approaching vessels. We receive you. The response came not in words, but in images and emotions, projected directly into their minds. The aliens were called the Luminary, beings of crystalline energy who had once been masters of art and philosophy. Now they were refugees, their worlds reduced to bare rock by the swarm's endless hunger. They're asking for permission to land, Sarah translated. They want to help us prepare. They say they have knowledge we'll need. Within hours, the Atacama facility became humanity's first alien embassy. The Luminary, their crystalline forms floating gracefully through Earth's heavy atmosphere, brought with them technical knowledge that would have taken humanity centuries to develop independently. But more importantly, they'd brought warnings. The swarm adapts. The Luminary Elder, a being called First Light of Dawn, explained through the quantum translator. Each weapon used against them becomes useless as they evaluate their defenses. They are a perfect machine learning system, improving with each encounter. Elena and Maya exchanged glances, but they've never encountered human weapons, Elena said. Kinetic energy can't be adapted to. Physics is physics. First Light of Dawn's crystalline form pulsed with what the translator identified as agreement. This is why we sought you. Our civilizations advanced beyond physical combat, beyond the need for weapons that rely on impact and explosion. We thought ourselves evolved. We were wrong. The next weeks were a blur of activity. The Luminary helped upgrade Earth's ships with quantum shields and faster-than-light drives, while human engineers taught them the principles of ballistic weapons and explosive ordnance. More refugee species arrived. The gaseous Aetheri, the hive mind Concordat, the plant-like Verdant Collective. Each brought their own technologies, their own knowledge, and their own tales of worlds lost to the swarm. The Prometheus became a test bed for this collaboration of technologies. Maya and her engineering team worked around the clock, integrating alien quantum systems with human warfare doctrine. The result was something entirely new, a warship that combined humanity's martial prowess with the advanced science of 100 peaceful races. They're not just teaching us their technology, Elena observed one night, watching luminary engineers working alongside humans in the ship's quantum core. They're remembering what their ancestors knew about warfare. We're helping them rediscover their fighting spirit. The truth was, humanity had never stopped preparing for war. Even in an era of relative peace, Earth's militaries had maintained their readiness, developed new weapons, and preserved the knowledge of combat that stretched back to the first human conflicts. What had seemed like paranoia now proved to be foresight. As the Prometheus rose from its desert tomb, its systems humming with power both human and alien, Elena felt the weight of history on her shoulders. Humanity had been called to be not just warriors, but teachers, awakening the ancient martial knowledge that the galaxy's peaceful species had forgotten. The ship's quantum sensors suddenly flared to life. Maya's voice came over the intercom, tense with urgency. "Captain, we're detecting quantum space distortions at the edge of the system. Large ones." Elena looked at the tactical display, watching as massive signatures emerged from quantum space. The geometric shapes of swarm vessels filled the screen, their perfect patterns an antithesis to the organic ships of the refugee fleet. "They followed us." First Light of Dawn's translated voice carried notes of despair. "The warriors of Saul are not ready." Elena straightened her uniform, her voice steady as she hit the ship-wide comm. "All hands to battle stations. This is not a drill. The enemy has arrived ahead of schedule, and we will meet them. Show them why humanity never forgot how to fight." The Prometheus's engines flared to life, its hybrid systems singing the song of two civilizations united in defense of life itself. The first battle for Earth was about to begin, and with it, the true test of whether humanity's martial pride could stand against the cold efficiency of the swarm. The art of war rekindled. The swarm ships moved like a perfect mathematical equation given form. Elena watched from the Prometheus's bridge as the enemy fleet arranged itself in geometric patterns that seemed to defy tactical sense. No cover, no defensive formations, just pure, cold efficiency. "They're not even trying to hide their numbers," Maya commented from her engineering station. 67 capital ships, each roughly twice our size. They've never needed to hide. First Light of Dawn's crystalline form pulsed beside them. "Until now, every weapon used against them has failed. They learn, adapt, and become immune. They have forgotten the concept of vulnerability." Elena's tactical display showed Earth's hastily assembled defense fleet. 30 ships, including the Prometheus, spread out in what would appear to any human military strategist as a chaotic mess. But there was method in the madness. "All ships, final weapons check," Elena broadcast. "Remember your training. These things have never faced an enemy they couldn't adapt to. Let's show them why humans still build weapons that rely on physics itself." The swarm struck first. Beams of energy lanced out from their ships, the same weapons that had devastated so many peaceful worlds. But humanity had learned from the refugees. Quantum shields, gifted by the Luminary and modified by human engineers, flickered to life. The energy weapons dispersed harmlessly. "They're analyzing our shields," Maya reported. "Adaptive algorithms are already working to." "Now," Elena ordered, "all ships, execute Pattern Alpha." Humanity's response wasn't energy weapons or advanced technology. From the scattered human vessels, railguns charged with the combined power of human engineering and alien energy cores opened fire. Tungsten rods, accelerated to a significant fraction of light speed, crossed the space between the fleets in seconds. The swarm's perfect formation broke for the first time in recorded history. Their shields, designed to adapt to energy weapons, had no answer for simple kinetic force. 15 swarm ships shattered under the impact. Their changing formation. First light of dawn observed, their crystalline body vibrating with what the translator identified as excitement, already adapting. The remaining swarm ships spread out, their hulls morphing to create overlapping physical barriers. They were learning, but they were learning the wrong lesson. Phase 2, Alina commanded. Show them why humans still study ancient warfare. From the seemingly random positions of Earth's fleet, a pattern emerged. The scattered ships had arranged themselves in a three-dimensional version of an ancient cavalry flanking maneuver. As the swarm adapted to defend against frontal kinetic strikes, the human fleet was already in position to strike from multiple angles. The second volley was devastation incarnate. Railgun rounds struck from 12 different vectors, guided by human tactical AI, working in concert with alien sensor arrays. The swarm's adapted defenses, optimized for frontal impacts, crumpled under the assault. "They're trying to quantum jump," Maya called out, reading energy buildup in their drive cores. "Execute pattern Omega," Alina ordered, allowing herself a small smile. "Let's see how they handle this human innovation." The Prometheus's main weapon wasn't its railguns. Hidden within its hybrid hull were hundreds of small drones, each carrying a quantum field generator reversed engineered from luminary tech. As the swarm ships prepared to jump, the drones activated, creating a web of localized quantum disruption fields. The result was chaos. Swarm ships attempting to jump found their quantum fields collapsing, their perfect mathematical precision turned against them. Some ships twisted in impossible geometries as their jump fields failed. Others simply ceased to exist as their matter scattered across quantum space. Impossible. First light of dawn's translation came through filled with awe. They cannot adapt fast enough. Your tactics, they're too unpredictable. That's because we're not fighting with just technology, Alina explained, watching as the remaining swarm ships attempted to regroup. We're fighting with every lesson humanity ever learned about warfare, from ancient cavalry charges to modern electronic warfare. You can't adapt to thousands of years of martial innovation in a single battle. The remaining swarm ships did something unprecedented. They retreated. Their perfect formations abandoned, they fled into quantum space in scattered groups. Of the 67 ships that had arrived, only 23 escaped. The bridge of the Prometheus erupted in cheers, human voices mixing with the crystalline tones of the luminary and the ethereal songs of other refugee species who had joined the crew. But Alina noticed first light of dawn's troubled pulsing. "They will return," the luminary elder said. "They will analyze this defeat, adapt their strategies, build new ships designed to counter kinetic weapons." "Good," Alina replied, bringing up the tactical display showing the battle's aftermath. "Because now we know they can be beaten, and we have time to teach your people how to fight again. Every species on every peaceful world will need to remember the warrior spirit they've forgotten." First light of dawn's form brightened. "You wish to train us?" "Earth is opening its military academies to all species," Alina confirmed. "We'll teach you everything we know about warfare, from the principles of ancient combat to the latest in tactical thinking. In return, you'll help us understand your technology. Together, we'll create something new, warriors with the wisdom of peace and peaceful beings who remember how to fight." The quantum communications array lit up as more refugee ships arrived in the system. Drawn by word of the swarm's first defeat, Earth's first victory would become a symbol of hope across the galaxy, not just because humanity had proven the swarm could be beaten, but because they were willing to teach others to do the same. The art of war was being rekindled among the stars, guided by the last guardian species who had never forgotten its cost or its necessity. The real work was just beginning. Teaching the stars to fight. The Solar Combat Academy sprouted from Earth's oldest military institutions, a sprawling complex of training grounds that stretched from the deserts of Nevada to the mountains of Tibet. Commander Sarah Chen, no longer just a quantum communications specialist, watched as beings from across the galaxy struggled with concepts humanity had never forgotten. Again, she called out to the class of luminary trainees, their crystalline forms hovering uncertainly over the combat simulation floor. Remember, tactical thinking isn't just about technology. It's about understanding the fundamental principles of conflict. The holographic battlefield before them showed a classic pincer movement from Earth's ancient history. The luminary, beings who had evolved beyond physical combat millennia ago, were struggling to grasp concepts that human children learned in history classes. "We were wrong," whispered Rising Star at Dawn, a young luminary who had become one of Sarah's most promising students. "We thought abandoning warfare made us more evolved. Instead, it made us vulnerable." In another section of the academy, Captain Elena Torres worked with a group of Aetheri, gaseous beings learning to use their natural ability to change density as a weapon. The Prometheus had been converted into a training vessel, its hybrid systems serving as a perfect teaching tool for combining human and alien combat techniques. "Your natural form is your greatest advantage," Elena explained, watching as an Aetheri student practiced compressing their gaseous body into solid projectiles. "The swarm expects energy weapons and advanced technology. They don't expect to face beings who can turn themselves into living ammunition." Maya Patel's engineering classes had become legendary across the galaxy. She taught alien species how to combine their advanced technology with simple human innovations. The result was a new form of hybrid warfare that even the swarm's adaptive algorithms struggled to counter. "Look at this," Maya said, holding up a simple mechanical trigger mechanism. "No quantum fields, no energy signatures, just pure mechanical action. Sometimes the oldest solutions are the best ones." But the training wasn't just about teaching aliens to fight. Humanity was learning too. The luminary taught them about quantum physics that made their current understanding look primitive. The Aetheri shared secrets about manipulating matter states that revolutionized human engineering. The Verdant Collective showed them biological techniques that transformed medicine. In the Academy's Strategic Command Center, First Light of Dawn worked with human military historians, comparing notes on countless battles across space and time. "Your species' history of conflict is tragic," the luminary elder observed, "but it prepared you for this moment. You kept these skills not because you loved war, but because you understood its necessity." Sarah stood at her classroom window, watching as ships from across the galaxy arrived daily, carrying more species seeking to learn the art of war from humanity. "We're not just teaching them to fight," she said to Elena, who had joined her. "We're teaching them to survive." The Academy's training programs evolved rapidly, adapting to each species' unique characteristics. The plant-like Verdant Collective learned to use their control over biology to create living weapons. The hive mind Concordat discovered they could use their shared consciousness to coordinate complex battle maneuvers that even humans had never imagined. But the most profound changes were cultural. Species that had looked down on warfare as primitive began to understand its complexity, its art, and most importantly, its role in preserving peace. They learned that being capable of fighting didn't mean abandoning their peaceful nature. It meant being able to defend that peace. "Your people have given us back something we lost," Rising Star at Dawn said during a tactical exercise. "Not just the ability to fight, but the understanding of why it matters. We forgot that peace isn't just the absence of conflict, it's the ability to defend what you cherish." The quantum sensors suddenly blared an alert. Maya's voice came over the Academy's communication system. Multiple swarm signatures detected in the Proxima Centauri system. "They've rebuilt their fleet, and they've adapted." Sarah watched as her students, Beings who months ago couldn't grasp the concept of tactical warfare immediately moved into battle formations. The luminaries' crystalline forms hardened into combat configurations, while Aetheri students compressed themselves into living weapons. "They're ready," Alina said, pride evident in her voice. "Not just to fight, but to defend everything they've built, everything they are." First light of dawn's form pulsed with determination. "The swarm thinks they've adapted to your weapons, your tactics, but they haven't faced warriors who combine human combat doctrine with the advanced science of 1,000 peaceful worlds." As the alert echoed through the academy, Sarah realized they had created something unprecedented in galactic history. An army of scientist warriors, beings who combined profound understanding of the universe with the will and ability to fight for its preservation. The final battle was approaching, and this time, humanity wouldn't fight alone. They had taught the stars themselves to fight back. Guardians of the cosmic peace. The swarm's new fleet emerged from quantum space like a geometric nightmare. Their ships had evolved, their perfect mathematical formations now incorporating organic curves and biological elements, adaptations born from their previous defeat. But they weren't the only ones who had changed. The combined fleet that met them was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Human warships flew alongside crystalline luminary vessels, their formations incorporating both ancient human battle tactics and quantum physics. Aetheri warriors had transformed themselves into living weapons, while verdant ships bristled with biomechanical hybrid weapons. From the bridge of the Prometheus, Captain Alina Torres watched as the graduates of Earth's Solar Combat Academy took their positions. All ships sound off by combat groups. Human Luminary Battle Group Alpha, ready. Sarah Chen's voice came through, her quantum communications now seamlessly linking all allied forces. Aetheri Strike Force, condensed and prepared. The gaseous beings had learned to modulate their very existence into weapons of war. Verdant Concordat Heavy Support, standing by. The plant-like beings and the hive mind had formed an unlikely but effective alliance. The swarm struck first, their weapons now incorporating both energy and kinetic elements. They had learned from their defeat, adapted to human tactics. But humanity and its allies had expected this. Execute Operation Primal Memory, Alina commanded. The battle that followed would be studied for generations. The swarm's adaptations proved formidable. They had developed shields that could deflect physical weapons and energy attacks alike. But they hadn't counted on the creativity born from combining human combat experience with alien capabilities. Luminary ships phased through quantum space in patterns based on ancient Earth cavalry charges, their crystalline forms channeling energy in ways that bypassed the swarm's adapted defenses. Aetheri warriors transformed themselves into microscopic bullet storms, penetrating swarm hulls through atomic-scale gaps. "They're targeting our command and control," Maya reported from engineering. "They've learned about human military hierarchy." Alina smiled grimly. Exactly as predicted. All ships initiate deception protocol. The human fleet suddenly seemed to fall into disarray, its formations breaking apart in apparent chaos. The swarm, their tactical algorithms detecting weakness, concentrated their attack on what they perceived as a breakdown in command structure. It was a trap centuries in the making. As the swarm committed to their attack, the seemingly scattered Allied fleet revealed its true formation, a three-dimensional version of an ancient Chinese encirclement tactic, updated with quantum physics and alien technology. The verdant Concordat ships released clouds of smart spores that consumed swarm energy shields from within. Human railguns, enhanced with luminary quantum tunneling technology, fired rounds that existed in multiple spaces simultaneously. By the first light of dawn breathed, watching from their tactical station. The swarm, they're actually confused. It was true. For the first time in their existence, the swarm faced an enemy whose tactics they couldn't predict or adapt to. Every human strategy they countered was merely a setup for an alien technique they'd never encountered. Every alien technology they adapted to was deployed in ways their algorithms couldn't anticipate. The killing blow came from the most unlikely source. The peaceful luminary, beings who had forgotten warfare for millennia, executed a perfect flanking maneuver taught to them by human instructors. Their crystalline ships transformed into shapes that defied physics, combining their quantum mastery with humanity's tactical wisdom. When the quantum dust settled, the swarm fleet was in ruins. The few surviving ships flowed into quantum space, but something had changed. Their retreat wasn't just tactical. Their very behavior showed signs of something new. Uncertainty. They're not just retreating, Sarah observed, her quantum sensors detecting subtle changes in the swarm's communication patterns. They're afraid. They've learned something they can't adapt to. The unpredictability of genuine intelligence working in harmony. In the days that followed, news spread across the galaxy. The swarm, the unstoppable force that had consumed countless worlds, had been decisively defeated by an alliance of warriors and scholars, of ancient combat arts and advanced science. The Solar Combat Academy became more than a military school. It evolved into a center for galactic cooperation. Species that had once looked down on humanity as primitive now sought to learn not just their combat skills, but their way of balancing progress with preparedness. "We thought we had to choose," Rising Star at Dawn said during the victory ceremony, "between being peaceful and being strong. You showed us we could be both." Elena stood on the Prometheus's observation deck, watching ships from across the galaxy dock with the Academy's orbital facilities. "We didn't just teach them to fight," she said to Sarah and Maya. "We taught them why fighting skills matter, not to wage war, but to prevent it." First light of dawn's form pulsed with what had once been pride considered primitive, but was now understood as righteous satisfaction. The warriors of soul that become something more. You are now the guardians. Teachers who show us how to preserve peace through strength, wisdom through experience, and unity through diversity. As humanity looked to the stars, they found their place not as conquerors or mere defenders, but as guardians of a delicate balance. They had answered the universe's cry for help, and in doing so, forged a new path, one where the wisdom of peace and the necessity of strength walked hand in hand among the stars. The age of the guardian species had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same.